Ma'am, yeah, live started now.
Okay. A very warm good morning to all. I'm Dr. Maya Raman. I'm an associate professor in Department of Food Science and Technology. And today this is the live session for food packaging technology. And this course was handled by two faculty members, as you all are already aware of it. Myself and Dr. Jenny and John. She's also an assistant professor in the department. So this course is an 8-week course and it carries 2 credits. And let me thank you before we go into the live session for joining this program and taking it seriously. So in this program, second. So this program, like I said, it is an 8-week course, and there were 5 modules which were adjusted in the 8 weeks. And in the first module, we had discussed about the importance of food packaging, and right from the consumer point, from the producers point, from manufacturers, from the distributors, why food packaging is important and why we need a food packaging. So these aspects were discussed in detail, and what is the role that food packaging plays in extending the shelf life of the food product, and also to retain the nutritional qualities or to preserve the nutritional qualities. So these things we had discussed in the first week. We also discussed about different types of packaging materials, and we started with paper as a packaging material. And we also saw how the paper, the packages or different types of boards are developed using paper, and what kind of processes it undergoes, like pulping, fibrillation, beating, and what are the different equipments or techniques that are being used to develop the packaging materials from paper, or the base material was cellulose, and how to convert cellulose into a paper. And we also saw cartons and paper boards, the different types of cartons, and how it can be tested. What are different methods by which we can test the packaging material, because mainly the components include tensile strength and elongation, and then we also have to know about water vapor transmission rate, or gas transmission rate, or oil holding capacity. So there are many different methods to identify, to check how these can be evaluated for the packaging materials. And once we finished the paper, we went on with glass as the packaging material, and we started with the composition of glass material, where we discussed how the silica forms the base material, and how the color of different glasses changes by changing the composition, and how it affects the properties, and why we had to replace glass with the other kind of packaging materials, being brittle and difficult to handle, and also the breakage is more in case of glass. So we had to move on with different other kinds of packaging materials, like metal-based or plastic-based packaging materials, and moreover, it takes a lot of space while transportation. So these details were addressed under this, and we also discussed about the bottle making process, how the bottles are developed. There are 2 different methods to develop this bottle, and those were also discussed in detail. And then coming to the next week, that is in week 2, it was a continuation of module 1, and we discussed about the metals as the packaging material. and why the metal came up when we already had glass as a packaging material, why it was replaced by metals, and what are the advantages of having a metal as a packaging material, and also what are the disadvantages that are associated with metals as a packaging material. Those components were discussed, and then we also saw how the cans are developed, because cans, they are the very important, they have a very important role in food packaging and extending the shelf life. And canned food products, they have a very prolonged shelf life. It may go up to 1 year, and but to get a shelf life of 1 year, certain conditions need to be taken care of. It starts with the canning material, how the cans are developed, how it is converted to can, and what are the different types of lacquers that we use. So we started with tin plate cans, and then we moved on to steel and then aluminum. And why all these changes happened, these issues were also discussed under this category. And what are the different types of lacquers? Like we have sulfur resistant lacquer, we have acid resistant lacquer, and what are the importance of these lacquers, and how we choose the lacquer based on the type of food that is being packed in the tin can or in the container. That also we have seen. And coming to the next part, under this week and under week 2, we discussed about the plastics. And now we have moved to plastics because the transportation charges for glass and metal, they are more, comparatively more. And also in case of glass, like we said, the breaking is a disadvantage. So we had to find out another material, another packaging material, which is more, which will take lesser space and which will be able to help in transporting more amount of food in safer and safe condition. And also it will have the conditions or the properties which was exhibited by the packaging materials, which like glass and metals. So under this category, we had discussed different types of plastics, like polypropylene. We have also seen LDP, HDP, polystyrene, and then polyamide. And we also saw what are the chemical composition of these different plastics, and how these determine the properties of plastics, and how these can be converted to films or laminated films or flexible pouches. We also have standalone pouches. So how all these evolved, and how they have overcome the metal-based containers or metal-based packaging system or glass-based packaging system. So those details were seen in week 2. And coming to the week 3, which is a part of module 2 actually. And so, like I said, our course, it contains 5 modules, and these 5 modules, they were divided into different weeks according to the time, and to contain all the segments. And in the module 2, it was discussed under week 3. And in this, we discussed about the different packaging systems, that is primary packaging system, secondary and tertiary. And we also saw what is quaternary. And the packaging systems, it varies depending upon the kind of food packed, from where to where it has to be transported, the safety measures, how how efficient it should be in transportation. So all these parameters decide the type of packaging system and the product. And for this, we have to be aware of product characteristics. So it is not just the superficial product characteristics. We also need to know what are the intrinsic characteristics. Like, for example, we have to know at the macromolecular and micromolecular level, and how these may be influenced or they can change during transportation or during handling, during storage, and how important these parameters are from the nutritional profile or nutrition angle, and why we need to preserve these things, and what role the packaging system plays in preserving. So it's not just just extending the shelf life, but also preserving the contents, preserving the nutritional value, so that whatever is there initially, it is not being lost during any process till it reaches to the consumer. And we have also seen the packages which we had discussed earlier, for example, glass, metal-based or aluminum cans, and plastic-based containers. These are basically divided into three forms, that is rigid, semi-rigid, and flexible forms. And we also saw how these packaging materials, it differs based on the food products. So for different food products, we had different packaging systems. And so this was discussed under week 3, and this was followed by the other 3 modules, which was discussed in respective weeks, and we had around 5 weeks after that, so which was handled by Dr. Jenny and John. So I'll just pass the slides to Jenny, Dr. Jenny, and she can take it over from here. Thank you. Hello, sir. Were you able to hear Jenny, ma'am?
Ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, I'm waiting for Dr. Jenny. There was some audio problem with her. This thing, she was not able to, like, though she is speaking, but it was not audible. So she's trying to log in again and she'll come join again.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Hello, is this audible now? Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, yeah, yes, Jenny. Please carry on.
I'm so sorry for the interruptions and delays. Yeah, I want to thank all the NPTEL members also for helping us in every way throughout this journey of this course, and especially the students also. We want to thank them for being a part of this program, and we hope you really got the benefit of what you came for, join this program for. Regarding the first two modules, ma'am had already briefed you all on those two. Now coming to the third module, third, fourth, and fifth was what I dealt with. We talked in the third module on the design of packaging materials. So in the design, we talked about, I hope you remember, the different, the primary, secondary, and tertiary packages, the requirements that you'll require in different packages, and the forms, the different forms and the methods of manufacturing, and what are the factors we keep in mind while we design any packaging for any food. Okay, so we talked about different factors for that. And then we had a very long session on the testing of different packages. We had in 4 different videos, testing 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now in testing, we also included live practical sessions from our lab at QFOS so that you be able to understand the different tests. We talked about the testing of paper and plastics in different methods. In paper, we talked about the grammage, thickness, Cobb's value, and very important tests like tear, puncture, and bursting strength. I hope all these things have been clear from you, especially from the videos, the live practical demo videos that we showed. Plastics also, we have a number of testing methods that we used. We talked about the thickness of packaging of plastics, and we talked about the dart impact, tensile strength, seal strength, all of which are very important, especially after you pack your food. You need to see that your package will not give way or the products inside will not get damaged. And for that, we went for also third type of testing, which was testing the barrier properties. These two very special important barrier property tests that we did was the water vapor transmission rate and the gas transmission rate. Both very, very important. Some foods are very sensitive to high moisture or to gases. And for this, the package must be a good barrier for this. And I hope you all got the different tests that we went through. And we talked about, after that, we talked about the identification. How do you identify if this is a polyethylene or a PVC or a PET? So we went through different tests, the flame test, the water test, and how you can really find out if what kind of plastics the package is made of. We talked very briefly on accelerated shelf life. Once you package your food, how do you check out the storage or shelf life of the product? And for that, sometimes you cannot wait for 1 year and to keep it on storage and see if the product has been spoiled. So we will go for accelerated shelf life studies, and we explain the method of how to do that. In the next, we talked about performance and of packaging materials and the different tests that we do for performance. Coming to module 4. In module 4, we talked about the different accessories, packaging accessories. Especially, these are the ones that are your staplers, your printing, your adhesives, all the extra things that you do into your packages came under this topic. And then very important topics we dealt with after this, that was the active packaging. We talked about modified atmospheric packaging, remember? So in active packaging, we talked about how the package will do extra functions other than just preserving and protecting it. So it may be, it might absorb the oxygen, or it might emit carbon dioxide. It might absorb the water vapor, which is inside the package if the level has increased. So the package is actually active rather than being just passive and protecting. That is what we talked about in active packaging. It was a very extensive 2 talks that we had on that, and I hope you all got a fair, because that's some of the recent developments that's happening right now. We've also talked about the modified atmospheric packaging, where you modify the gas composition inside the package, where oxygen is reduced, carbon dioxide and nitrogen level might be increased, especially for fatty products and products which are sensitive to oxygen, all to increase the shelf life of the product. Okay. Aseptic packages, we talked about how most of the Tetra packages that you see are aseptically packaged. You can somebody's mic is on. Right. We also talked about in that module about a very important topic, which is biodegradable plastics and edible gums. Under that, we talked about the carbohydrate-based, your protein-based, and your fat-based. So these are also upcoming. Plastics are now being banned everywhere. A lot of research is being done on developing biodegradable plastics and biodegradable packaging materials and edible packaging that will leave no residue or pollutions in the environment. So that was all about a module 4, which was quite extensive. And coming to our last module, which is the 5th module, it dealt with mostly the equipments. We talked about different equipments in 2 weeks. We took a fairly lot of time on that, where we talked about equipments for vacuum packaging, CA and MA packaging. CA is the controlled atmospheric and the modified atmospheric packages. What are the equipments that you use for that? And similarly for gas packaging. We also talked about the seal and the shrink packaging machines, and the FFS, or the form fill seal machines, which are used in many of these food industries right now. Again, we talked about the aseptic packaging machine systems that we are using. So the 4th module, we went into the principles, and the 5th module, we dealt in the well dealt with the equipments that are used in all of these techniques. And last week, we ended up with some of the other machineries, like machineries for your retorting, especially we talked about the design of a retort pouch and bottling machines. We took 2 weeks, 2 days for bottling machines and the carton making machines, and finally, how the different printing machines that are used to get the labels for your packaging. So I hope that all of y'all have got a fairly good idea. I think we've covered a lot of topics under food packaging. We hope it has been useful, like I was saying. Your exams are starting soon. You can expect your multiple choice questions for this, just like you're done for your assignments, but it will not be restricted only to assignment questions. Please read and understand your assignment questions also thoroughly, go through all the things, but you will have questions other than that, but all based on what was taught, but all multiple choice. I hope with the assignments that you've taken, the practice that you've taken, you all will be able to do well. I hope you all study thoroughly and do your exams very well. Thank you so much. Hello. Dr. Maya Raman?
Yeah, yes, yes, Jenny.
Yes.
Oh, sir,
Ma'am.
yeah, are there any queries?
Ma'am?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there's one query that says, can you share the previous question papers? Do you want to answer that?
Actually, this is the first time we are running. So we don't have previous year's question papers, but you can also revise your assignments, which like Dr. Jenny has told. You can go through the assignment questions. You can also go through the study materials that has been provided along with the PPTs. So, and the reference materials. So all this will help you in answering the questions. And just be thorough with the what has been taught in the class. So this will help you a lot. But we don't have the question papers like you have asked. Thank you.
There are no paragraph questions, just the system is just like what you did the assignment, your multiple choice questions. So you will be able to do well, fairly well, if you just go through the study material like ma'am said.
I think the queries are mostly related to the exams, the coming up exam. The question pattern will be just like what you had for your assignment. It can be a single answer, single correct answer, or multiple correct answers. So read your questions thoroughly before you answer give the answer. There's no explanatory type questions. You don't have subjective type questions here. It's only objective. Will there be provisions to tick more than one answer? Yes. If there are multiple answers, correct, too many answers are there, more than one answer, correct answer, then you will have the option to take more than one answer. Can explain the process sequence in retort packaging. Dr. Jenny? Jenny, are you there?
Yes, one second. Let me see the question. Can you explain the process sequence in retort packaging? Retort packaging is basically a sterilization process where you heat it at around 121 degrees centigrade. You have these retorts which are similar. They also call in your labs, they're called your autoclaves, right? So there, high pressure is given, and this high pressure actually produces the steam, which destroys your organisms. Your wet steam or wet heat treatment is always stronger than your dry heat treatment. So the packages, we already talked to you all about the different layers of the inner layer, which was PP, the outer layer, which is your PET, and inside you'll have in between, you'll have your aluminum and your nylon layers. And we already talked about the functions of these packaging different layers. So basically, the same thing is just like your canning process, whether it's vegetables or meat. See, if it's vegetables, you go for your normal cleaning it, then you go for blanching. You can then process it, fill it in this, exhaust it, just like your canning, and the retort is sealed, and then they are packed into your retort. What is that? You have this huge retorts which have got crates. These retort packages are arranged in these crates, and then they are closed. The pressure is increased, and this thing is done for around 15 minutes. You have the whole process time. Now, the process time is again a calculation which we have not mentioned here because it was not in the syllabus. Process time calculation is a whole different thing where you should not give the time too much. If you do overcooking, it actually, you lose the nutrients, and it also leads to flavor changes. So, and also loss of energy. Okay, and if it's under processed, you'll have your microorganisms that might remain, and which will cause different problems. So what we do here is commercial sterilization. Commercial sterilization, like we already said, is where all the organisms, vegetative organisms are destroyed. If the spores do remain, they will not germinate under normal storage conditions. So the steps are, like I said, just for vegetables, you have got your blanching, cleaning, blanching, filling it, exhausting it, sealing it, and then going in for retort. For you can fill it, for meat products, on the other hand, you can fill it with brine solutions. And for your vegetable products also, you can either have brine, or you can have brine solutions also. The retort packaging is also done nowadays for ready-to-eat foods. So in ready-to-eat foods, you just put in your processed product, whether it's your butter chicken or your whatever, pulao or whatever, that is filled in this, again sealed properly, exhausted, sealed, and it is processed in your retort. I hope it's clear. The syllabus did not have, that is why we didn't go, syllabus especially mentioned the retort pouches. So we have restrained ourselves to retort pouches and just mentioned the process. That is why maybe you have asked this question, which is good. Hope this has answered your query.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So we have a question here which says, which is more costly, process, canning, or retorting? See, the equipment that you're using for both canning and retorting is the same, the retort that you use, basically. So in cans, the cans will be more rigid. So basically the material that you're using in canning, the cans will be more, So that will be a material cost will be more for canning than for, actually what you meant is, I think what the question, canning or returning in cans or in retort pouches, I think that's what you meant. In cans, your rigid cans, it uses more of material. Okay, so that will be more costly. The material will be more costly than for your retort pouches. The pouches will be less expensive because and it's more flexible. So the more advantageous for the pouches than for the cans. That is why the industry is now almost switching over from cans to retort pouches. You're going to get the same benefit. The equipment as a whole for sterilization is going to be the same, whether it's pouches or whether it's can. Okay, but material cost-wise, it'll be more for your rigid cans than for your retort pouches. Hope that's clear.
Yeah, let me also add one more thing. For cans, it is made up of metal, so these are mainly rigid. And for example, you can imagine if you have 10 cans, the space it occupies is more than 10 retort pouches. So the transportation cost is also high for canned products. And that's why the producers are switching to retort pouches.
But essentially, the processing equipment cost is the same. Is it so?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's almost the same. It's the type of material that is being used for processing. Based on that, the term is used. So if it is can or the metal can, then we call it canning. Or retorting, it is based on retort pouches.
Okay, thank you.
Mohanraj, if there's not many questions or queries, can we wind up now? Like, because nobody's, and I think most of them are leaving now.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, NPTEL. Yeah, yes, I was just asking, can we wind up the session?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then, thank you all. Thank you for joining us. And good luck with your exams. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.